Okay, we came up with a verdict. And we find Sean Diddy Combs not guilty.
Not guilty. Oh! Thank you, Jesus. Oh! You invited to the Diddy party. You invited to the Diddy party. Yes. Yes. You got it. You did it for Tom. You did it for me too. Everybody, man. Ow. It's for you, man. Ow. It's for you. Ow. It's for you. It's for you. Ow. It's for you. Hey, man. Come on, man. What? Oh, my God. Look. You get baby oil. You get baby oil. You get baby oil. Yes. Everybody get baby oil. I'm free.
Hey, yo. Thanks for tuning in to The Source, your source for celebrity news. Check this out. As you already know, P. Sean Diddy Combs was found guilty of 2 of the lesser charges that the prosecution was charging him with. And as a result, P. Diddy is now facing up to 20 years in jail. But the amount of time that Diddy actually spends behind bars depends on the judge, because he has 2 charges, and if the judge decides to sentence him concurrently for both charges, then he can serve out his sentences at the same time. However, if the judge decides to sentence him consecutively, that means that he's going to have to stay in jail longer, and he's going to have to do both of those sentences back to back. Now, after the jury of 8 men and 4 women determined that Diddy was not going to spend the rest of his life in prison, Diddy was emotional, and this dude started doing a whole lot. I mean, he was dropping down to his knees, he was getting back up, he was doing prayer hands. I mean, he was doing little heart emojis. Watch Teray explain how Diddy was in that courtroom.
I want to paint you the picture of Diddy's post-verdict celebration. Once the racketeering not guilty verdict was read, he starts doing this, right? But like, yes. And then more not guilties come in and he's going, yes, not guilty on trafficking, not guilty on theft. He's like, yes. And then we got to 3 out of 5 not guilties. Tenny Garagos, one of his lead attorneys sitting right next to him, started to cry. She starts to wipe away her tears. He leans over and hugs her and gives her a little kiss. Then he hugged Brian Steele, then he nodded to the jury, then he starts making prayer hands, and he's making prayer hands toward the judge, toward the jury, and then toward the sky, looking up like thanking God. At that point, Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnifilo, stood up and said, well, since we're only dealing with 2 charges of transportation for prostitution, I think he should be released today. The judge was taken aback by this. This was not on the plans. Nobody had thought this motion would come up. The judge said, are you suggesting that he walk out of this courtroom right now and go home? Agnifilo said, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. All the other people who have been held on this charge prior to their sentence were pimps. He's a user of prostitution services. That's entirely different. He said his plane is in Maui. We have taken his passport. He will not be leaving. He would be a fool to do anything that the court doesn't want him to do. The judge was totally taken aback. He had not planned to discuss this at all. He was like, so I assume he doesn't want to go back to MDC today. And Diddy had this comic this big head shake like, I mean, of course he doesn't want to go back to MDC. Nobody wants to be there. The judge said, give me a letter from each side on whether or not he should be released today. And then most of the hearing was over. And that's when things got even more dramatic. He clasped his hands in prayer to the sky. After the legal conversation ended, Puff kneeled on the floor in the courthouse, his face in the seat of the chair that he had sat in throughout this 2-month trial. And he sat for a long time, like a good long minute, and prayed.
As he should. And I hope that what he said to God was, thank you for your grace and mercy because you saved me. You didn't have to do it, but you did. And because you did, I want to ask for forgiveness of my sins. And from this day forward, I'm going to change my ways and become the man that you created me to be. Now, after Diddy received his verdict from the jury, everybody went outside. And while they were outside, Armand Wiggins and another content creator, they were overcome with the spirit. And they just started spritzing baby oil on one another. And Armand Wiggins took off his shirt. And I mean, he was rubbing a baby oil all over his chest. Watch this.
Look at Armand, y'all. They really throwing baby
people saw Armand Wiggins put on that display in front of the courthouse after the verdict, a lot of people were turned off, and one person was like, people do anything for a viral moment, and then somebody else was like, it was tacky and in poor taste. So after Armand realized that he was getting a whole lot of backlash, Armand jumped online and issued the following statement. Armand said, yesterday a clip of me outside of the courthouse went viral and was taken out of context. What started as a lighthearted moment, part of a long-running joke with my audience, was misinterpreted as support for Sean Diddy Combs. That was never my intention. For the past 60 days, I've worked hard to cover this case with honesty and objectivity. That moment was about sharing a bit of levity with the community that's been on this journey with me, nothing more. Still, I fully understand how the timing and optics may have felt hurtful, especially to survivors of abuse. I sincerely apologize to anyone who was impacted or disappointed. This has been a reminder to move with greater care and remain committed to doing this work with integrity and heart. Armand continued on to say, I'm learning, I'm listening, and I'm moving forward with even more care and clarity. Listen, I'm so glad that Armand Wiggins came out and issued that response, because even though I can understand that he was caught up in a moment, he was having a little fun outside the courthouse, what a lot of these young YouTubers who have a whole lot of potential need to understand is that there's a time and place for everything, and that right there was not the time nor the place. Because even though Diddy only got hit with the lesser charges, you still have to understand the heft of this court case. And during this court case, whether or not Diddy was convicted on all the charges or not, people were harmed in the process. So we have to respect that. And we have to be mindful when we're standing outside of the court. The bottom line is this: if you want to be respected as a journalist, you can't be out there acting like one of Bebe's kids. Because if you do act like one of Bebe's kids, you might not be invited back. I mean, for real, could you imagine Wendy Williams standing outside of the Diddy trial, jumping up and down with a shirt off and a tatas jingling up and down, talking about more oil, more oil? No, you can't. Because even though Wendy Williams was the gossip queen and is still the gossip queen in New York, Wendy Williams carried herself with a certain level of class. And she still does.
Welcome to Speak Your Fit. What's your name and where you from?
Oh, okay. Wow. I'm Wendy Williams, the one and only.
Hello.
I'm from here, right here in New York City.
Big Apple. We got Miss Wendy Williams here. Speak your fit to me. Describe your fit. You look wonderful today, Miss Wendy Williams.
Excuse me, everything designed by Mel Maxey.
Ooh,
Every
hello.
last drop of it.
Nice.
Except for my fabulous sneakers are mine, all mine.
Ooh, hello.
And my fabulous handbag.
Nice.
Beautiful and gorgeous.
That part.
But this is all designed by me, and Mel Maxey even did this for me.
Nice.
It's all done.
That part. Hello.
You know what I love about that clip? Not only does Wendy Williams look amazing, but Wendy Williams seems to be getting better and better every day. Now, during the course of the Diddy trial, a lot of people turned to Tisa Tells for their news. And some people even compare Tisa Tells to Wendy, in which I say there is absolutely no comparison because these two women are individuals. But with that being said, after the Diddy verdict dropped and everybody was outside, something in the air seemed to change because all of a sudden, content creators switched their attention from Diddy to Tisa Tells, and a whole lot of them were out there saying that Tisa Tells is a liar.
She ready, look. Look her. Look.
Platform to gain more followers and money. You lied to your whole platform.
Look.
To gain money. You lied to everybody to gain money. Are you gonna give your subscribers their money back for the lies you told?
Oh my God.
Their money back for the lies.
Child.
You're the mad one. I'm broke. Me broke? You think I'm broke?
Oh.
Hey, Armand Wiggins.
You ain't gonna put a finger on me. I'm not touching nobody. I'm not in harm with you. I'm not even within 6 feet. You're a liar. You're a liar, Tisa.
What?
Liar, Tisa. They told us that is a liar.
They saying that Tisa said, they saying that.
And she's working for the prosecution. And she was paid by the prosecution. She's a federal informant, and she was paid by the prosecution to tell lies on social media. That's what it is. Right here in front of the court building, that she's a fucking liar.
Oh my God.
You don't want to say week, but 8 weeks, we'll be talking about that.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Dry ass wig for 8 weeks.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Gain your momentum off the indicator and the lies you told. You gained your momentum off the lies you told on P. Diddy. Now go back and apologize to her family for lying.
She also lied on Jonathan Majors
And she Robinson.
She hates black men.
She hates black people.
And look at all the cameras.
She don't like black
This is very uncomfortable for her. It's a lot going on. And I'm just here. You know what I'm saying? I'm bringing you the news. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what you guys wanted me to do.
Oh, these broke niggas is mad. So anyway, listen, at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, excuse me, can you please move him away, please? So at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, right? We will, listen, at the end of the day, we have done what we can. This shows that these people care more about, right? We have shown
She's a federal informant.
Y'all, I work for the feds. So listen, what's been actually happening is, I'm glad I'm turning into the story, honey. I'm glad. I'm going. Okay, so listen, at the end of the day, these people are sitting here in their struggle mad that Diddy doesn't even know they exist. They want it, I get it. They're mad that they don't have, right? Listen, they are mad. They're mad. They're mad. They are mad. Listen, at the end of the day, the prosecution is showing what it is. And now they are saying that I should be the story because I actually went to the prosecution. Because at the end of the day, they are mad that I went with what the prosecution could say, that I did with what the prosecution would say, and they're mad. There's all these bottom feeders that literally are trying to get money off they can, but they cannot.
Let me tell you something. Ratchet TV needs to stop because just last year, he was dropping mad videos telling people that ATK Keys murked Julio Fulio. And then, when it was all said and done, the police arrested 5 other people for Julio Fulio's unaliving, and ATK Keys wasn't one of them. So, him trying to call out Tisa Tells when his own track record isn't that stellar is crazy. And actually, I believe that Armand Wiggins, Tisa Tells, Make It Make Sense, Lovely T, and everybody else who went to New York to report on this case did an absolutely phenomenal job keeping people informed about what was going on during the trial. Because remember, there were no cameras in that courthouse, but for some reason, we always knew what was going on. And each one of those content creators gave us the story from their own independent perspectives. So we were able to click back and forth, listen to each source, compare notes, and then come up with our own opinions. Listen, when it comes to this Diddy trial, I actually agree with a message that somebody named Ebony Electra wrote online. Ebony Electra wrote, "Praise God. Opinions, we're all entitled to them. Mistakes, we all make them. Judging, we all do it. Gossip, we're all guilty of it. God's will is higher than any opinion, mistake, judgment, or gossip. If this is God's will for Puff/Diddy, then that's His will. In the end, what we think doesn't compare to His will. Who are we to judge? That's God's job. It's all in His hands. You never know." Now, after Ebony Electra made that post, T.I.'s wife Tiny Harris jumped online and responded to her post. Tiny wrote, "Yeah, praise hands, praise hands, praise hands. People want to charge you so bad for being freaky, it's nasty work." Oh my goodness, you know what kills me? Is that you can tell what people are into based on the comments that they make about this Diddy verdict. And what also kills me is that how come all of a sudden now that the man has been found not guilty on most of the charges, all of a sudden now, all of these celebrities have something to say? I mean, for real, for the last year and a half, Hollywood and the entertainment industry has been radio silent. And all of a sudden now that the verdict is in, and they now know that Diddy has basically been exonerated, they're all outside like they're a bunch of roaches and somebody turned the lights on. I mean, these cats are outside like Nicki Minaj's husband.
Nobody hiding around here, man.
We back in action.
It's all fun and games too. We want to play too.
We outside. Somebody tell Orsa.
As a matter of fact, check out what rapper Mano had to say about the verdict in the Diddy trial.
You surprised by the news today with Diddy at all?
Surprised in what way?
Just, I mean, were you thinking that he was going to get off, or did you think he was going to be found, like...
Well, I was hoping that he, got around in RICO and things like that, because I didn't think that being a freak constituted having a RICO charge. You understand? And I don't want to take nothing away from any, the women and whatever he had done, right? But at the end of the day, I didn't think that what the feds were doing, the narrative that they had created, really fit what was happening. It is what it is. He got found guilty for, flying in prostitutes or whatever. I mean, this is something that people do all the time, and those people, for women or whoever soliciting goods, they want to do that. But who am I? I'm not a lawmaker.
Yeah. Well, the person in the hip hop, the artists and stuff like that.
Right.
Do they take him back? Do you feel like he comes back with open arms?
I mean, listen,
because again, he's found innocent. And at the end of the day, you're innocent until proven guilty.
Here's my thing. The problem with the world today is that we all stand so judgmental, right? I can't judge guys on some of the things that they may have done, right? So I mean, it's to each his own. Like I don't know what the game gonna have for him. I don't know what that's gonna look like. Everybody got something to say. So but I didn't think that. I'm glad I didn't want to see him get life.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought that he would at least get the bail after he got found guilty on a lesser charge. I think the jury did the right thing. I think they saw for what it was. He was a guy that was in these relationships. He had wild freak nature, but that's whatever. You know what I mean?
Are you the freak stuff? Do you think do you think people are going to start, obviously the hip hop guys, like rappers, are they going to treat him like they used to after all the stuff they learned about him?
I don't know, but I know this. What I learned is that I thought I was a freak. To that. When that came out, then I was like, I'm really a choir boy. I thought I was on time, but I'm really not.
I hear you, buddy. Listen, it's good to see you, man. It's good to see you doing the acting work, man. It's good to see you, buddy. Thank you so much, bud. I appreciate it.
My man said, I thought I was freaky, but now. Let me tell you something. After this Diddy trial, I think that each and every one of us has found out that we're a lot less freaky than we all thought that we were. I mean, for real, before this trial started, you might have thought that your freak level was on like a level 10. But now that you have heard all of the things that Diddy is out there doing around the clock, you now realize that your freak level peaks at like a level 3. Anyhow, Mano wasn't the only celebrity to weigh in on the Diddy situation, because all of a sudden now, Funkmaster Flex has a whole lot to say about Cassie. After the Diddy verdict dropped, Funkmaster Flex jumped online to share some of his thoughts, and he wrote, I think Cassie's been through a lot, especially at a young age. She's such a nice person and always gave off good energy. I hope her and her family overcome all of the pain that they're going through. The entertainment business is a dangerous environment that everybody's not built for. But then, he focused his words directly to Cassie, and he wrote, I do think that you and your lawyers should give it a rest. You threatened to drop a book, then got paid out to not drop a book. If you cared so much to get your message out, you would have dropped the book. I get it. It's a case. You had to testify. You $30 million up and $10 million up from the hotel. You planned this lick. Please don't be mad at me, but I don't see you as a victim. You was young, Diddy made bad choices, and you made bad choices. When do you plan to teach girls not to make the same mistakes you made? Just my opinion. At Cassie. Oh no. No. We're not doing that, Funkmaster Flex. Just because the jury didn't vote to find Diddy guilty of the RICO charge or the red light, green light 1, 2, 3 does not mean that we're gonna switch up and start making it seem as if Cassie did something wrong to Diddy and that she's not a victim who suffered immense torment and pain under his greasy hands. Especially when we saw what Diddy did to that woman with our own eyes. See, this is what I really dislike about the industry. Now that people know that Diddy's going to be out shortly, a lot of people are trying to hedge their bets so that they can get back in Diddy's good graces, because even though he may be disgraced, they know that his influence is still going to carry weight in some way, shape, or form. So they're willing to try to normalize DV and make it seem as if Cassie was wrong for getting compensated for her pain, suffering, and injuries, just so that when Diddy eventually does get out, they still have the in with Diddy. And then, for Funkmaster Flex to have the nerve to ask Cassie when she plans to start teaching young girls not to make the same mistakes that she made, my question for him is, sir, when are you going to start teaching young girls and boys not to make the same mistakes that both her and Diddy made? Because the last time I checked, your microphone works just as good as hers, Funkmaster Flex. Listen, let me know what you think about the Diddy verdict, Torre's depiction of Diddy after the jury said not guilty 3 times, Armand Wiggins asking for more baby oil outside of the courthouse, Wendy Williams looking real good in these New York City streets, content creators turning on Tisa Tells, Tiny saying that the government wanting to charge people for getting their freak on is nasty work, Mano saying that Diddy never deserved the RICO, and Funkmaster Flex saying that Cassie was never a victim. She was just a young girl who made mistakes and then decided to run the Ocean's 11 on Diddy. Let me know what you think about all of that in the comments, and while you're down there leaving a comment, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and share this video with your friends. Hey yo, thanks for tuning in to The Source, your source for celebrity news. Peace.